This is Berserk. Disaster is everywhere, all the time. I want to talk about Shyster Boy today. I've come to really appreciate Shyster Boy. Now, I always did, because I always thought he was a kind of a junior Guts. He was gutsy enough to follow Guts at a distance, but he was willing to do it. And at the time that he did that, I said to myself, well, he's just following for protection. And that was probably true, but it still took guts for anyone to follow Guts. I mean, look at the battles that have raged early on between Guts and Puck. Man, they went at it sometimes. Little Shyster Boy would not last very long if he ticked off Guts, and a few times he did. But here he is now in this episode, this exciting episode. He's saving the day because of what he's got up in his noggin. He's sharp. Shyster Boy, like I say, I'm going to come up with another name for him because he doesn't have to be Shyster anymore. He's just really bright.
Does he remind you of anyone?
Do you want me to say you?
No. No. From Berserk.
From Berserk, does he remind me of anyone? Oh, Sweet Jude.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He could
without
be
a
Little
doubt.
Jude.
Hey Jude. Yeah, Little Jude.
Yeah, Little Jude.
Yeah.
Mini Jude.
We'll see. I
Yeah.
still like Shyster Boy too. Shyster Boy to the rescue. Guts is nowhere around. I mean, he's nearby, but he is out of proximity to save our beloved Casca. And I'm, of course, referring to all the people out there, not just myself. So, the beloved Casca has been flown down to the ground and put on her funeral pyre. And it's not a happy celebration. It's a burning at the stake. I mean, there's not a lot of ways worse to go. Shyster Boy is thinking up a plan, and he needs a little bit of help. Because let's face it, he's physically not daunting. He's running on brain power. He's a little guy still. What do we figure? He's 10 or 12 years of age?
I feel like 8 or 9.
Yeah, I mean, he's young. He's young. He's thinking up a plan to rescue his big girlfriend, Casca, because he's already come to appreciate her. And he's no longer thinking about Casca as his way with Guts. In other words, all I got to do is save Casca and Guts will befriend me like I hope he will. No. Guts has already done that. Now he just cares about Casca. He's been with her long enough to know she needs rescuing because she's still so out of it. The flames are coming up on her and she's like, ooh, ah. Yeah, I would think you'd be expressing it a little bit more than that. Yeah, she's out of it. So he's got a plan, but he needs a little help. Why? Because he's a little kid and he's only there with Puck. And let's face it, Puck isn't really capable of much muscular work. So he calls out to Boyfriend and Nina to come and help. But there's a little problem there. Boyfriend, what's his name?
Jerome.
Jerome's got some trouble. Right behind him is the Ice Woman, Mrs. Freeze. And with her is Sir Lancelot. Now, those two are far above Boyfriend in rank, which means he's, subservient to them. To anyone who's observant, he's made it pretty clear he's friends with Nina and Shyster Boy and Guts and Little Puck, if anyone's noticed him. And Sir Lancelot's a sharp dude. Is Mrs. Freeze a sharp dudette? I think she's... No, I don't think so. I think she's focused. She has tunnel vision on one thing. But Lancelot, he thinks outside the box. He knows something's going on. Boyfriend has to figure out a way to get over there to help out. And so he makes an excuse of, let me go check those two out over there. And you come with me, Nina, you heretic. It was pretty pathetic. But he goes over to help. And Shyster Boy clues him in on the plan. It's brilliant. They're high up on the wall still. Even though the tower has crumbled, they're on a portion of the wall which is still up and up high. And he's looking down on his little beloved Casca and saying, I got to do something to rescue her. I got to do something to rescue her. And he comes up with this great plan. He's going to tie this rope around himself, jump off the wall, right into the fire with her, cut her free, and scramble to freedom. But how does he do that? He's smart. He's a smart boy. He sets up a block and tackle. A block and tackle is essentially where you have a rope going over a loop so that you can lift things. And he tells Boyfriend, who's not the biggest high IQ guy, what his plan is. And his plan is he's going to jump off, rescue Casca, and then they're going to drop this giant hunk of rock, stone, that weighs twice what Casca and Shyster Boy weigh. And when they drop it off the wall, it's going to pull them up, and they're just going to do this little thing like this. And it works. He frees Casca. The crowd goes crazy. Bring her back. She's gone. She's gone. Shyster Boy is gone. And I'm sure boyfriend was kind of going, that was pretty smart. Maybe I should have stayed in school a little longer. Now they're back on top of the tower. But is disaster looming? Of course. This is Berserk. Disaster is everywhere, all the time. Is Guts around? Not yet. So they are free from the mass below, the villagers who really turned evil. I wanted to say something about fear. Those people in that crowd are scared to death. They may look up to they call him the angel. I'm talking about Easter Island Man. They call him Lord Angel. They're scared to death of him. They know that he goes through their ranks and robs them, indirectly, but he robs them. He also knows he pulls people out, calls them heretics, and burns them out. They are petrified of him. So it's not difficult to rile up a crowd who is afraid of you already. And Easter Island Man did that. Supplied the flames and everything.
And he's scarier now because he has wings and stuff.
Yeah, he's a frightening character, for sure. Everyone is scared to death of him, except for one person. Yes. So they're on top of the wall, right? And they're fleeing because who's coming? Easter Island Man and his two bird brains, winged bird brains. And they're swooping down on the recent escapees. And Easter Island Man is ticked. You can tell. He's screaming at her. How dare you get off my funeral pyre? But you don't want to be a sacrifice? He tries to grab her up. Who saves the day again? Shyster Boy. He basically drags Casca down and he flies over him. But guess who he flies into? Guts has arrived. And Guts is so formidable that even though Easter Island Man is himself formidable, he's no match for Guts. So Guts is slashing with his sword, and it looks like he pierces Easter Island Man and dispatches him. I gotta tell you, if he's going anywhere, it's Dante's Inferno. It looks like all is gonna be well. And something great happens too. You know that boyfriend guy who I said is kind of a knucklehead? Well, the two other birdmen swoop down and they're trying to cause their own bit of problems because they've seen what's happened to Easter Island Man. Who defends them? Boyfriend. He takes out his sword. He's doomed now because he's definitely been seen doing that by Mrs. Freeze and Sir Lancelot. I know his days on top of the wall of freedom are numbered because there's just no way they couldn't figure out whose side he's on now. And he had said earlier, he goes, when we get a clear break, we got to get out of here, Nina, because I'm not going to be able to keep fooling them for very long. They're already on to us. Anywho, Easter Island Man is not going to Dante's Inferno. He's not in the flames of hell. He's back. And he makes this proclamation, which really bothers me. He pulls out his scripture. It's not the Bible. It's just his scripture. This saved me. And the sword went right through this book. I have to think it drew a little bit of blood, but something very interesting happens. And I'd like to hear from you. I'll hear from you through Crystal. What comes back is not Easter Island Man in his winged outfit, if you will, with his mask on. I still think it's a mask.
It's just his smashed face, but I'll let you have it.
Yeah, okay. Well, what comes back now is an inflamed with anger Easter Island Man. And he looks to me like a Zod-esque like character. Now, that's what I want to get some opinions on. Do you think so too? Or am I just imagining? After all, it's probably the same artist, so why wouldn't there be some mixing and matching? But he comes back, I think, as bigger and bolder, more angry than we've ever seen him. And Guts is going to be in the fight for his life.
His head looks more round to me.
Yeah, he's just become that hideous strength of evil, in this case, that hideous strength of evil. And I do believe he's become a Zod-like character. He's something more than we ever thought he was.
After Spidey injected him.
Yeah, I think so. Speaking of our friend Spidey, he's not gone yet. He just won't die. And you'll recall from the last video that he sort of, I want to say swallowed. Yeah, I don't think he chewed him or anything. Baby Gutska. And it really looks to me as though somehow that little baby is able to influence things. Somehow. Because whenever he shows up, Guts and Casca seem to get out of a bad situation. And they appear to be out now. Now, I'm at the end of this episode. And so I don't know what's going to happen. I don't think the battle between Guts and Easter Island Man is over. So there's a battle that's still raging between Guts and Easter Island Man. It's, if you will, off camera right now because we don't see it. But we know Easter Island Man has not been dispatched. He may have to look for a new scriptural book, but his battle is going to go on with Guts. I'd point out, too, that there was no help this time from Skullboy. The help came from the least likely source, a little kid. And in that sense, I'm sort of shocked. I kind of expected Guts to be the one to take her off the stake and probably pull the stake out of the ground. And he'd probably end up using the stake to whip through the village. Who knows? Because there was a giant horde of people surrounding Casca, wanting her dead. I thought Guts was going to have to go and slash his way through to the rescue. None of that happened.
And there was such a buildup of him getting to Casca on the burning stake.
Yes.
And for him to not even be the one to get her off was very peculiar.
I thought it was very peculiar. I was worried. I was going to take an order of Digitalis just to keep my heart going if something happened to Casca. And yet, no. And Guts was not the rescuer. It's a great plot twist, as a matter of fact, because if Guts remains the only one to save the day, then it's just another scene of Mighty Mouse, which was a great cartoon, I might add, growing up. But
like too repetitive?
Yeah. So this was, I think, a genius rescue.
Do you think at all that it was a little too easy?
Physically, but it wasn't easy mentally. Because our young hero, Shyster Boy, was up on there, at first flinging rocks at the crowd. And then he figures it out, what he's got to do. And it took some bravery. But he kind of suggested that, I've been jumping off buildings all my life, that sort of thing. And probably has to escape people following him. But it was pretty brave to jump off a 100-foot wall to save her. And just like Hollywood, there just happened to be a nice long rope there and a piece of wood with a hole in it. Yeah, so that was great. There's more to come. I would love to hear from you. Well, you know what I'd love? That you would like and subscribe. And I'd love to hear from you indirectly through Crystal from your comments on how you guys and gals took this part of the scene. I thought it might be as dramatic as The Abyss, but the one different thing is that in The Abyss, we went through the heartbreaking death of every member of the Band of the Hawk. That was tough to take. And it was one at a time, kind of, our favorite characters going down. This time, it would have been terrible had we lost the beloved Casca, but we didn't. So now there's a new adventure starting altogether. Will Casca come out of it? That's the big question for me. She still seems out of it. I mean, Casca of old would have said, give me that sword, boyfriend. I'll dispatch these two winged bird brains. Yeah. She would. So she's not back. She's not herself. I don't know what it's going to take to bring her out of her stupor. It's a stupor. So anyway, we'll see you again soon. Kind of a belated Happy New Year's to you. I hope you all have a fantastic 2025. I'm really optimistic about this coming year, and I haven't been overly optimistic for a while. Who knows? I may come out of retirement. I don't know. But it's going to be a great year. You guys are all going to thrive, I believe. I want you to have a fantastic year. We're going to mix a lot of stuff up here at YouTube. We're going to just try to keep bringing interesting, fresh, insightful, to the best of my ability on this Berserk series and other series that we're working on, TikTok and did I say TikTok? Yeah, TikTok and things like that. So we want to hear from you. Suggestions from you are always taken in very serious mode. We appreciate them. Let's face it, y'all have more insight than I do into anime, because some of you have been watching it for 10 years. I'm a newbie. But I'm enjoying myself, and I hope you are, and we'll see you again real soon.